Good evening, welcome to Rivalz Race Chat. Clinton and Adam here weekly as we are, and what are you looking at me like that for? You're smiling already.
The logo stayed up. Did the logo stay on the screen longer than normal?
I'm not sure. I didn't notice it, but not surprised you
It
did.
felt like it. It felt like it did, and then just as we came on, I felt like I had something in my teeth. I'm like, man, what's the matter with me?
No, we'll let you know next time. The problem is if we have a dirty screen, it just looks like you have something in your teeth. We don't really know. So now you're going to pick your teeth for an hour. Hey, but anyway, welcome to the show. We got two of Canada's hottest young talents coming on the show tonight. We're going to welcome Treyten Lapcevich coming on, talk about a big announcement, and, kind of a switch in play for Treyten. We hadn't heard a lot of news, concern of where he was going to be, right, Adam? So this is big news about the Lapcevich camp, so we'll talk to Treyten about that. Okay. Thought you were going to jump in there for it. And then Dan
No, I was going to, and then you were, man, look at show 259.
I know,
259 times.
As I'm giving you the gap, I'm thinking, why am I giving him a gap? You never give the gap. Okay,
well,
so...
No, the way you were talking was like you were going to keep going. And that's one thing I think we've always done okay with. Not on this show, but when it comes to announcing, we don't step on each other very much.
It's It's a minuscule offset because the internet aligning us, it's not perfect. So sometimes we do make those mistakes. But yeah, we can typically, and that's the way I describe that. Just as we talk, like announcer speak, I call that winding down. I can tell when you're winding down a sentence, or Greg, after you work with somebody long enough, that I can tell they're about to hand it off without knowing they're handing it off. Does that make sense? And it doesn't play through on the screen for us here. So, anyways, Treyten Lapcevich is going to join us. Dan Bailey's not a hot young racer, but he's got a lot of hot products and to help you if you get in a really hot situation. So we'll talk to Dan Bailey about Motorama and what it means for us to be there as vendors. And he's got some tips. And I want to talk about some spam that I've got in my mail lately. I was talking to you about Adam today. Just some do's and don'ts for anybody who's looking to buy safety gear. And you and I were talking today. And as I mentioned, racers typically don't spend the amount they should on safety gear. So if you're going to get off your wallet and buy good stuff, let's make sure you're not getting ripped off and give you the right do's and don'ts. And then Dylan Westbrook's going to join us. Adam, you were at our meeting Sunday for the Ush Weekend registration kind of information session. We hosted micro sprints and go-karts, then the two sprint classes, and then the thunder stock and mini stock classes. But, I went in expecting a fight, and we'll talk a bit about how it went. And when I say fight, it's always, the speedway against the teams, it seems, in certain aspects. But we all try to work together. For the first year ever, we gave up control and gave a vote on 3 very important issues and 2 in the crate sprints. And we'll talk about where those results are, talk about the process. And Dylan Westbrook's going to come on and talk about how these decisions that were made on Sunday are going to affect his season this year, and if it's all going to change anything for him. I personally think it's playing into Dylan's hands, but we'll see if he feels that same way or not. And we'll talk about tariffs and racing. Big tariffs kicked in today. We'll talk about our predictions and how we think things are going to go down there and everything else going on in the racing world. How you doing today, Adam?
Good. I really enjoyed the meeting. I don't throw a lot of love your way, but I thought you did a really good job with all of them. I sat around for the micro sprints and for the sprint cars and for the fender divisions, and it's a lot because what people sometimes don't remember, when you run a speedway, you have to think about all 120 teams in the pits. When they come to a meeting, in fact, more than that with the micro sprints, when they come to a meeting, they've got their own interest. Everyone has their, and you want to hear from them, but you still have to steer things. You still have to try to keep it positive. I thought you did a really good job. And I was pleased because I had my mind changed on a couple of things just by listening to racers. You go in with some preconceived notions, at least I did, of where things were going to go. And they didn't go that way. And being able to hear from a couple of racers why they didn't go that way, like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I now see that differently.
Yeah, and I still have some preconceived notions on where we ended up, right? You told me that today. You kind of not gave me shit, but you said, hey, man, you're stuck in your ways. And you think I'm worried about the situation. We'll get into it. And I am, and we'll discuss that a little bit. And so you're right, though, Adam. We do come into these meetings with a preconceived notion on the way we think things are going to go. In many instances, I mean, this is my 10th or more time managing these meetings. So I pretty much can tell you what a lot of the guys who are going to vote or, they've been asked for the same thing for 10 years. So sometimes we get shocked. But the vote, Adam, on these items that we'll discuss later, things like lineups and a couple other amount of starters and other things like that, ridiculously close, right down the middle. We have one of the most important votes in crate lineup history on the docket right now. And as I start this show with you, it is locked at 8 versus 8 with 16 of 28 voters already. So it's right down the middle.
And to explain a little bit further, you don't let anybody vote. It's people that were in the top 20 in points from the previous year. Like, you have to have some skin in the game.
Yeah, this is something that, we always get when you get to drivers' meetings and we say, who wants it? And 20 people put up their hand. The argument is a lot of those guys are mechanics or people just fan. It could be a fan or, Uncle Joe sitting with Treyten and wants Treyten's what he wants at the meeting, for example. So, those types of things can go that way. But you're right. So we set the criteria at top 20 in points from last year and anybody who registered at the meeting on Sunday. So some folks jumped on the poll in our Facebook group and added, and they just won't be tallied because they weren't in that criteria. So that's why we'll bring it out. I got charts. We're gonna show it later. But let's jump into Treyten Lapcevich in a second here. Big news for Treyten to come out. Phoenix is coming up. We know the situation that there's been a lot of closeness with the Lapceviches and the ARCA teams of the Venturinis. So see, we just lost Treyten, so wait till he comes back. We'll get him on here in a minute. Dan Bailey is already waiting in the wings, which is cool. We'll talk to Dan here in a second when we're done with Treyten. Dan's really early. He's eager now. I like Dan's style. He's on the ball. Let us know when we get Treyten back, Spencer. He just looks like he's a frozen screen on our end. So top 20 and, top 20 and drivers that registered as of Sunday. So I'm excited to see how that goes. We'll talk about how it all plays out. Of course, Motorama's this weekend. We'll talk a bit about that. Right before we jump in, he's back. Let's jump into Treyten. Treyten, welcome to the show. Congratulations on the big deal. Spencer's going to run the ads as you tell us how this all came together, man. Phoenix and ARCA and back with bare knuckles. How did this whole deal come together?
Yeah, it come together pretty quick, honestly. We were, I'll be full transparency. Originally, we were looking to run the full season with Venturini. It come to Daytona really quick. Daytona comes up fast. Just long story short, we ran out of time, which it happens. But still have that connection with Venturini Motorsports. Obviously, which started with Caden when he was working there and so on. Talked about driving for them in the past, but just really this year it came to fruition that we were looking to make something happen. Really wanted to get started at a track where I felt like I would be comfortable at. Phoenix is definitely the one that came to mind. It's nice because it's early in the season. It's a short track. It's a big track, but it's a short track. They consider it. So felt like I'd probably be pretty comfortable getting started off at Phoenix. And like you mentioned, just really really thankful to have the support of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship and Evram alongside me again. Super excited to get to Phoenix and see what we can do.
Treyten, it had to be devastating. I mean, we watched your post when things didn't pan out for Speed Weeks in Florida. Talk about the emotional roller coaster. How hard is it, to not unleash your frustrations on social media when it had to be some frustrating moments in there?
Yeah, I mean that's racing, isn't it? It seems like we've been in this situation before. It's not the first time. It's not going to be the last time. It's just it's how it goes. Racing is a tough sport, especially as we try to climb to higher levels, and it's not getting any cheaper too at the same time. So it's difficult for sure. I think that at the end of the day, just, really got to stick with the people that are supporting me, and those that are helping me get to that next level. So, some things just don't quite work out. It happens. It happens in anything. It seems to happen in racing quite a bit more than anything else. But I think the main thing is, just staying patient. And, we were able to put together this deal for Phoenix, which is, I'm super excited to be able to make my first start in ARCA car. Maybe 2 years ago, I didn't even think this would be a possibility ever in my career. So, it's another big step.
Treyten, as you move up the ladder, dollars become a lot more important. Support is a lot more tough to find when you get in these types of deals. In your situation, this seems to be the first of your seasons that I can remember where you didn't have a solid plan, a full schedule. How's that playing on your head a bit? And, we understand as you get to this level, like you said, you got to pick and choose. How are you dealing with that, your first real season where you haven't had, maybe not knowing where every next race is going to be?
Yeah, it's a different feeling for sure. People always say that winning fixes everything. So maybe in that sense, there's a little more pressure to win heading into Friday. But at the same time, I mean, I'm gonna give my all, and I'm gonna be happy if I leave Phoenix just knowing that I left it all out there on the track and gave it all that I possibly could. So, yeah, I think that, if it might put a little more pressure on winning. But at the same time, I do have belief in those that are behind me and supporting me. And, I believe that, no matter what happens on Friday, we're going to be able to continue and put some together for this season. Obviously it's nice to know that you're competing somewhere full time, and it's nice to compete for a championship. It's been really cool to have that, for those 3 years, the NASCAR Canada Series, APC before that, Cars Tour last year. So, like you mentioned, it's definitely different not having a home for the season, but at the same time, it's all looking forward into the future, right? So, where can I race and, be able to pick and choose and make sure that we're extending our dollars to the absolute max, to be able to get the most experience possible and, the necessary experience to really maybe turn some heads and, what benefits me the most in our whole group moving on to next year and the years after that.
How hard is it, the stuff that you're going to have to do at Phoenix outside of the car? Some of the networking and the shaking hands and meeting the right people. Do you go in there with a laundry list in your mind of people you want to encounter, people you want to leave a good impression with?
Yeah, there definitely is. And, we definitely have some plans, talking to some people when we're down there. The thing is, it's a super, super quick schedule. We kind of, obviously that goes, being alongside the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series, but, that's why we're trying to choose some of these races, because they're the ones that are going to get the most coverage and have the most people there. And, also racing at those tracks that, if we are able to move up the ladder in the future, they're going to benefit me. So, yeah, there's definitely a laundry list. It's going to be a little tough to get everywhere at once. I think so. We practice at like 2:15 or something like that. It's 45 minutes. Qualifying starts 10 minutes after that when practice ends. Then it's autograph session. Then it's race right after that. So it's going to be kind of bang, bang, bang. Definitely going to have some of those conversations if we can have them. And then it's really going to be focused on going to get that checkered flag.
I had another question for you, Trey, but your last one just led me to this. So with it being such a close timeline, like it's important to unload fast, as they say. How do you guys deal with that when you don't know a lot about the team? That was my next question. What do you know about the team you're going to be saddling up with? Do you have any history with them? But when you have to offload, great. Are you sending them like, hey, my tendency is I usually like my car to feel this way, and then they're going to try and come with that? Or what type of communication and how are you, like, I guess, interpreting the language between you over Zoom or over the phone, or are you going to the shop? How's this all working out?
Yeah, so there's a few things that come to mind there. So first of all, a week and a half ago now, I went down to North Carolina. We did the seat fit. Then also I got to do a couple hours on the Toyota simulator with the Venturini team engineers as well. So that was really cool, to kind of be able to get a feel of how the cars tentatively gonna feel, it's obviously not gonna be a one-to-one, and we recognize that, and they're obviously really knowledgeable to know what they want to look for on the simulator versus, what's gonna happen in real life. So that was a very good like preliminary interaction with them and understanding what they're looking for in the car so that I can, focus my driving style on trying to get those same feels. Other than that, it was really good to work with the team in Daytona at February. Obviously, there wasn't a whole lot going on in that sense at that time, but just to kind of get comfortable at a very general sense. It's just anything like that. It helps going into race day like this when everything's tight because don't really have to worry about getting comfortable because those introductions are already there. Obviously, a new team, but I've worked with them for a day, so it kind of helps a little bit. I got full belief in the Venturini team with all the experience that they have at Phoenix in the past and also their team in general. Crew chief's going to be Ron Otto, which is he's a very experienced ARCA crew chief, Trans Am, all this other stuff, and I got Frankie Kimmel spotting for me too. So I'm excited to have that experience because being a really quick practice session, I think having his experience spotting is going to help me a lot and just so we can get my line out of the way right away, like the first run that we're out there. And then the rest of the session we'll be able to focus on, really assessing the car itself and trying to make adjustments.
Treyten, you've mentioned the term winning a couple of times in this interview. Is that your expectation going down there? Can you clear that bar?
I don't like to say expectation because I definitely don't want to go in with too much confidence. I never ever even like in NASCAR Canada Series nothing. I never go into a race weekend feeling overly confident. Like I said, I just want to my expectation is that I'm going to go in there and give it the absolute best that I can. And hopefully that leads to winning the race. Obviously that's the goal. I wouldn't say it's the expectation, but I just want to know that I did everything in my power to put myself in the right position.
And I guess I should have phrased that better. Do you feel like going with that team, that car, that package, and you behind the wheel, you feel like you're ready to go down there and perform if the chips fall your way?
Yeah, I feel like we definitely have a shot at the win. I think that was our big focus heading into this season is that we want to put ourselves in the position with teams that, we're going to be in there competing with. So obviously, the ARCA series is getting super competitive as of recently and, building off of last year and into this year. Now there's, you got Joe Gibbs, you got PRG, which is growing pretty big, Spire now with Corey Days. So the competition's rising for sure. But at the same time, Venturini is a super established team with a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge there too. So I feel like we've definitely put ourselves with the right position for me to make my debut with a really reputable team and a lot of people that have a lot of knowledge. So I'm definitely confident in their ability to bring a car to the track for me that's capable of running up front and going for the win.
Treyten, let's talk about Phoenix itself. It's a very unique racetrack. What kind of experience you got there? We're assuming it's mostly iRacing in the simulator. Is it a place that you iRaced well at and was comfortable with?
Yeah, a lot of iRacing there in the past. I feel like it's a track that really complements my driving style pretty well. It's really momentum based, and I've noticed that I've always kind of been a lot better at the tracks that are, around momentum. Um, so definitely a lot of iRacing laps there. That's what I've been doing a lot. As of recently, just trying to get as much experience there as I can. Watching videos, watching past races, all that sort of stuff. So I really enjoy running the track on iRacing. I'm thinking that it's probably only going to be better in real life. So I guess we'll find that out.
Hey, what's the difference between the Toyota sim rig and your rig at home? Like, did you notice a big difference in iRacing at home and jumping on Toyota's machine?
Yes, it's quite a bit different for sure.
Treyten, but let's talk about that Toyota deal. That's a pretty big deal that you're in their simulator. Their eyes are on you. Once you get in that full, Toyota's done a lot of good things for a lot of these racers over the years. That's a special association that's beginning here with this deal as well.
It is, and I got to meet a lot of them last year throughout the car store. I was able to visit the Toyota Performance Center a couple of times throughout the year. When I was living right down there in Hickory, and at the shop all week and able to explore all these different places, it definitely opened up a lot of opportunities. So yeah, like I said, I was able to go there a couple of times and meet all the folks there. And that at that time we were really focused on trying to put together a program for this year, and Phoenix is a good start for us, and hopefully we're not only able to continue developing that relationship with not only Venturini but Toyota and all the other parties moving forward.
Treyten, we're super excited for you. I don't have anything else for you except to wish you the very best of luck. Enjoy this experience, and we know you're going to make us proud, Clint.
Bring the trophy back here next Tuesday. Good luck, man.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Treyten.
Thanks for coming, Treyten.
We talked about it with Steckley. We talked about it with Treyten. We're very lucky to have some of Canada's best talent join us here and bullshit with us every Tuesday, so we appreciate it and wish them the best. Big opportunities, and I appreciate that he chose to race Phoenix on Motorama weekend because we might be home to catch it by then because it's on the West Coast, so I'm excited about that.
Ooh, that's
what
we can watch it this weekend. Talk about it at Motorama. That'll be fabulous. No, I'm just really happy for him. I was gutted when it looked like his opportunity had been ripped from him there a month ago. And it's kind of the fun thing about this show, Clinton, because we do not plan a week ahead. We don't advertise who our guests are going to be because we don't know. But the nice thing is, if we were going to have, say, Michael Waltrip on next Tuesday night, we'd spend a week doing homework and crafting questions. Okay, here's what we want. We don't do that. So it's just a matter of, hey, this is the hot story. Good, get them on and let's just bullshit for 10 minutes. You don't have preconceived notions. And sometimes it leads to me asking really stupid questions if you don't know where you want to go next. But it lets you know that it's not scripted.
True. I'd laugh because you said we don't plan a day ahead. I asked these guys. I think I got Westbrook on at 7:45, 15 minutes before he agreed to come on. Hey, let's bring in Dan Bailey from Epic Raceware, a great partner to us, great partner to Watch Weekend Speedway and everywhere else. Dan just partnered up once again with the APC Series, covered everybody's registrations, and that's a good deal if you bought an Epic fire suit, right, Dan? How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you guys?
Good, Dan. We brought you on to talk a bit about Motorama. You guys always have a fairly big presence there. You've been there 10 years, probably as long as I've been hanging around there. We brought you on to talk about fire suits. I know a lot of teams come in, and Saturday's the big night with the championship, awards. So are you taking appointments for suit measurements, or are we going to have like a 30-person double lineup for you and Bob to start measuring racers all night, or how's that going to work? And any tips for anybody who may be coming in to get measured up from the Epic folks at Motorama?
Yeah, just before I get into that, I want to congratulate Treyten as well. We speak about Motorama. I'm sure you guys remember when he won his Mighty Minis championship, and he was a 10-year-old little boy wearing his Superman shirt. And when he spoke on the stage at the Night of Champions, I would say he was in the top 2 or 3 for well-spoken individuals at 10 years old. He knew what he was doing, and he's going to have a career behind the wheel. He's a good shoe for sure. But back to our booth at Motorama, we're similar to you guys as far as planning weeks in advance goes. we know that a lot of people are coming, and we do have some schedules, but nothing solid. That being said, if you are on a short timeline when you get at the show, give us a call prior to, and we will set some time aside, because it's unpredictable there. Sometimes, we could sit and shoot the shit for nothing, and then other times we have 40 people in the booth. But yes, for preparedness, kind of have an idea of what you're looking for. Primarily, a budget is your best thing. With a budget, we can make something work. And as you've seen, we partner with all kinds of people. So a lot of the times, if a certain suit isn't within your budget, maybe we can manipulate a partnership to make it within your budget, keep you safe, keep you looking good, and help us broadcast a bit more as well.
And let's talk a little bit about turnaround times. It doesn't feel like we're ready to go racing, but if you're looking for a custom fire suit, it's time to make that move.
It is. Motorama, unfortunately, is almost too late for our racing season. We want to say a solid 4 weeks is what we need. We worked with Norm Benning a couple of weeks ago, and we got him 3 fire suits in 4 days. That doesn't always happen. Last year, pre-Motorama, we had the GSR camp, we had DJ Kennington, we had Ryan Sieg, we had 76 suits in line before we got to Motorama. And then we had everybody wanting to get theirs for Media Day, which is difficult. And I know it's the nature of the beast. Sponsorship doesn't fall into everybody's lap months ahead. They need to know last minute what they can do. And we'll do our best to make it work. It's just not always easy. There's only so many hours in the day, and only so many suits can go out the door at once.
Dan, what's the hot product or the hot deal you guys are offering right now?
Actually, these sublimated shirts and sublimated hoodies. We're going to sell them at $65 a piece at the show. Doesn't matter how many you need. If you need 1, it's $65. If you need 10, they're $65 each. We don't charge extra per logo or for sizes, or if you want a pocket, or if you don't, we just make it a flat $65. The hoodies are usually around $95 a piece. So it's a really good deal on those. We have lightweight hoodies, regular weight hoodies. At PRI, they did very, very well. They were very well received. We ended up with a few distributors with the hoodies just because of how well they're received.
Adam, let me jump in here for a second. I just want to jump in because I'm wearing one right now. It's the Strickland one for the Strickland's GM crates. It's awesome. The material is really good, and we'll take a dozen right now. We'll work with the G-Force boys. Need a new setup. Perfect. If you can make a triple tent for Adam, we're good. Adam, it's all yours.
Dan, you're always cooking up something. You have different promotions. It's actually fun to see. What's next? What's the next big hurdle for Epic Racewear? The next big conquest?
Well, it's out of our realm right now. We're kind of not out of our realm, but it's out of our normal wheelhouse. But we've established an FIA relationship. So now we're going to be able to offer those fully sublimated fireproof suits that FIA drivers wear. So all the road racers, all the Euro racing leagues, I call it the Mosport drivers. That's something that's been lacking, I think. The major companies, the major name brands have had a cornerstone on that. We now are going to creep into that market. And usually when we creep in, we don't creep quietly.
Dan, we don't want to keep you too much longer, but, it'll be good to see you this weekend at the show. Let's talk quickly about maybe tips if someone isn't going to buy Epic Racewear. Okay, we talked about this. Now, I have been spammed, and I actually called you on this last week. I've been spammed by no less than 3 companies, and I don't know whether it's trash mail, real mail, but there's no phone number. It's a website and email address. I just feel like it's a bogus company. So I'm not an expert in buying this, but my feeling is if you can't pick up the phone and call somebody and talk to somebody before you send them $1,000 to $2,000 for your safety gear, who are you going to call when it's wrong or not right? You know what I mean? Or beware of anybody asking for a deposit. You know, like just stick to the ones you know. Get some references. That's all I'm saying, because there's lots of deals out there, and I don't want to see anybody get scammed.
Yeah, no, for sure. Usually, if something is too good to be true, it is. You know, super low price, you don't get best quality and best price. That's just the way it is, right? I did send you a photo of we'll call it a fire suit that I bought from one of these email marketing guys. They were a part of the SFI program. They were and are still using some other distributors that some of us buy from. They got the boot. They sent me a fire suit, and it didn't look right off the bat. I knew it wasn't right. So I contacted Mike Hurst at SFI, and he said, ship it down. He shipped it down, or I shipped it down to me. He sent me a photo of it on fire. Not cool. You know, and the problem with some of these guys is that they will sell not just to me or to a company or to somebody in the know. They'll sell to, I'll say, Johnny Bonestock. You know what I mean? Somebody who says, oh, great, I can get a fire suit for $250, everything I want on it. And they get it, and they don't know. They, you know, if it's like me knowing the difference between a set of shocks. You could show me one shock and the other shock. And to me, they're both the same. One is junk, one is $3,000 a corner. I don't know that difference. And unfortunately, those guys are there going to take advantage of people. You know, we've had people that, I never want to say race company names, so I won't, but we've had offshore guys contact me and say, oh, no, we're not SFI. You're SFI. You put your label on it. We'll make it for you, and you put your label on it. Well, no. You know, so yeah, just beware. It's like I say, you can buy your gas wherever you like. Just know what. Yeah, there we go. That's not a safe fire suit. You know that's terrible.
And there's a website, SFI Foundation, Stephen Frank Indigo Foundation.com. You can see all the information you want to see. We want to push Epic Racewear because you're a great partner to racing. Your name is on that website. If you're buying a fire suit from a name that's not on that website, don't. That's
right. And even still know who you're dealing with. Get to know the person a little bit. You know, you don't want to enter into a transaction with somebody, send them a bunch of money, and then you get a fire suit and I'll just be ridiculous, but your logo is upside down. And they say, oh, well, we'll fix it next time. But what about the $1,000 you just spent? You know, so know who you're dealing with. You know, a lot of the racewear companies, a lot of the reputable companies in racing are at the racetrack all of the time. You know, we'll see Mike McCall from McCall Racing Enterprises. He'll be at the track. If you need to talk to Mike, you can. I'm at the track. Other guys are at the track. If you know, we will pick up suits from somebody. They say, oh shit, I got in the car and I ripped it. And we'll say, give it to me. We'll fix it to you and have it to you next week. But you know, you're not getting that looked after if you bought it from somebody else, and you'll never hear from them again.
I got to give Dan credit here because we had a good laugh that my NASCAR suit was way too small on me last year. Well, Dan didn't make it, but he was still able to fix it for me, so I appreciate that. I still need a couple more inches added in there, bud, but you know, we'll see. But thanks, Dan, for everything you do. We look forward to hanging out with you. It's always a good laugh at Motorama. Yeah, we'll see you this weekend.
I've heard that about you, Clint.
Yeah, I need a couple more inches. No. There's another joke in there.
Dan, can you help Clint?
Have you seen how short he is? He needs a few more inches, too.
Yeah, we're done.
See you, Dan. See you this weekend.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dan.
I think we need an intermission sometimes to reset. Whew.
A safe word for sure.
I had my glasses on when we started last week, and I got used to, what did they say? I look like Ricky Vaughn from Wild Thing. Is that what Brian Nanicoke said?
Yeah, that's what Brian Nanicoke wants to call you.
I've been called worse.
Who was I supposed to call out on the show? I don't think he watches it live, though. He watches... Glenn Hills. He watches it like a day or two later, but he fast forwards through the stuff he doesn't want to hear.
A lot of people do that.
I said, I'm just going to start dropping your name here and there. But he prefers the parts where you and I are talking.
Oh, okay.
Nobody else does. Like, people like the guests that we have on, but for some reason, Glenn likes the way that we carry on. Clint, I think it would be in our best interest before we bring on our last guest, maybe to go over quickly the 3 things that were voted on, because he's already well familiar with it, and then we can just get talking. What do you think?
Yeah, Spencer, you got those charts. There were 3 in green and 1 in blue. So the green ones were the 360 ones. So we gave up a few different instances that the race teams could vote on in the 360, and they were single file restarts on regular nights. So that's where this is. So this would be double file like we've been doing the last couple of years versus single file. And the thought process was we could maybe save some equipment by going single file versus double file. But you can see out of the 22 eligible voters, and that was, again, top 20 plus registered, is 15-7. So we'll be sticking with double file on weekly. The other one, next one came up, Spencer. Do you have the one about the cone? The cone will be the next one I'd like to show if you can. So part of that double file restart now is keep the cone, choose cone, or drop the choose cone. Now this was close right till the end. It was 10-10. In the end, we'll be keeping the choose cone and double file restarts. And the third part of the vote was to stay with the random draw lineup we've had, which is draw for position or go to a high limit style S-wedge, which is pretty much speed based, and it's going to change the way we line up. And that one was close as well, but they chosen to go to the high limit SOS, which is a speed based system instead of a random draw. It's lined up by your times and hot laps, line up the heat. Then we're heads up after that. And the thing about the redraw, you can take that off, Spencer. Now, the thing about the redraw is now, instead of the top 8 in passing points going in, they've now voted that the 3 heat winners and the 3 fast timers from each of those heats will go into the 6 drivers for the redraw. So I think that's a unique system. Let's bring on Dylan Westbrook to see his thoughts. Adam, you were there for the vote and how it went. And, we completed the vote online afterwards, but, you were there. We had a bit of a discussion. Your thoughts on where we ended up.
I was disappointed with how quiet Dylan Westbrook was. Dylan, why weren't you standing up shouting, this is the right way to do things, folks. Just do this and be done with it.
I'm good with every way. Each way has their benefit and some good things and bad things. But for the format, I like having qualifying to be able to do something kind of just not just a random draw. You still if you draw crappy, it kind of puts you behind. Where now you still have qualifying to kind of dig out of a hole if you come in and draw a crappy number right at the start of the night.
Dylan, you had a fantastic season. I don't think any system would have affected your last year. How do you replicate that going in?
It's going to be hard. That was a pretty crazy season, but we're just at the shop now. Just keep on checking over things, trying to make sure we have no breakdowns or anything like last year. And hopefully we haven't really changed that much. Just keep on doing exactly what we did, and hopefully we can continue on with what we got.
Dylan, let's talk about what we voted on. Double file restarts versus single file restarts. As a driver who's generally near the front of the pack, what thought process goes into that? What do you prefer and why? And
I was kind of 50-50 on both. I wasn't too sure which way I should go, but I kind of went for the double file. Just once we have the big shows, that's what we're doing. And so when we're single file all year and then it comes to the big shows, it's kind of a little bit different. So at least when we do them weekly, then everyone's used to them. It seems to kind of everyone's used to them, have a bit less wrecks and stuff. But it's double file, definitely a lot closer. So you do get more of a chance of having a wreck, which kind of sucks. So that's kind of why I was 50-50. But yeah, it seems like a lot of places are double file. And yeah, just to get ready for the big races, that was kind of the thing that persuaded me to go or vote for the double file.
Yeah, I think we talked about that too. as our crew at Oshweek, our race teams get a lot more competitive. Let's face it, when you started racing, Dylan, if a Jason Barney or a Chuck Heaving from the ESS or a Destin Daggett showed up from the West, you guys would be lucky you'd always be behind them, right? Like they were always on the podium. Now they're lucky to get in the top 10. It's on a regular night at our place. It's not so easy. Our crew's really picked up their game in the past, I want to say 5 years. Like, our guys can go anywhere and compete. You were one of the early guys who broke out onto that deal. Where we go through this thing, we've got so many guys working and running so well. As these other teams come in, it gets tougher and tougher for them. What's been the biggest thing for our guys? Is it just seat time? Has the equipment got better? What's brought our guys up that extra bit?
I think a little bit of everything. Like, everyone has like top-notch equipment around there now. Like, anyone can win on a given night, and just like everyone just keeps on getting better and better, and like traveling out on the road a bit more, and then coming back, which just makes everyone else better that the race against also. So yeah, it's a little bit of everything. Just more racing around here too. Like, it seems like a lot of guys don't just race a Friday night like years ago. Like, now they're like, a lot of the people travel around to SOS or in the States, even Brighton. Like, a lot of people are racing a lot, have good stuff, and after just more racing, you definitely get better.
And where are you going this year, Dylan? What do you have in the plans?
Pretty much the same as last year. Do Oswego, SOS, and then hopefully hit a couple of the some races in the States, like Eldora and stuff like that this year, if everything works out right.
That double file, Adam, the other thing we were going to talk about was, when if you guys only raced under single file, I think we're taking some of your gamesmanship out of it. You guys are practicing in a single file format. When you venture out anywhere else, you're pretty much double. So I was happy to see the vote go to double to keep developing talents. I spoke to Glenn to get his thoughts on what his votes were, because he's in the top 20. He said we want to develop kids like Dylan who can go out, travel around, and build the best racers and the best future ASCS and World of Outlaw teams and drivers, and we can do that by putting them on the same system as we can. And speaking of that, big changes coming to a tire, Dylan. I think it may upset the apple cart a bit, because a lot of guys have always raced on this 18-inch soft HTC tire. Now we're going to a harder medium one that is 16 inches instead of 18. So a couple of less inches in width and a lot harder. How's this going to work for the teams?
I think, like, it's hard to say. I think it's going to unhook the cars a bit, which, if people were already struggling a little bit getting their car hooked up, it might hurt them a little bit more. But also saying that, like, that's what we ran on the ASCS tour and down in Florida and stuff always. So I'm really used to it. And even when we went to California, they have pretty much an HTW, which is the same as an HTC, and you could run an HTC or an HT or a medium or an HTC. And I think it was 4 nights of racing, 2 people, and it was half and half. 2 of the races an HTC one, the other half a medium one. So it's kind of says they're fairly close, but it definitely does change it a bit. It's gonna take some guys a bit to get used to, and other guys, I think, they'll just put it on, not even know a difference.
It just crossed my mind, Dylan. If you go and race Eldora, will you go down there with your open trailer?
Yeah, that's the plan again this year. As of right now, I think it's the same setup to pick up open trailer. It worked good for us last year, so I don't think we should switch anything at all.
No, that was a sporty look. I liked it.
What race you plan on going down there? The GLSS weekend, I think they're at Eldora. It's the same Nationals weekend. You've been to the Nationals. Would you check out Eldora that weekend?
I'm honestly not 100% sure which one it is. I know they're there once, and I think it works out for us to go down. I'm not even 100% sure the date off the top of my head now, but one of them for sure I'd like to.
All right, let me throw another question at you then. 410 for the World of Outlaw show. Any chance you'll have one?
As far as I know right now, that is the plan. Hopefully we'll have one in and be able to do that, and hopefully have the same results as last time we did it years ago.
That's so exciting. How big a difference is it, Dylan, jumping into a 410 compared to driving the 360?
It is a lot different. I mean, it's with the motor, a lot more power, and then with the different tires also. So it's a lot to change too. I mean, if the track has grip, I think it's a little bit easier to put one in and still be competitive. When it slicks off a bunch, that's when it's kind of really the setup and everything else comes down to it. Just kind of keeping the tires under you. And with the 410, you got to run a lot different setup too. So it's going to be a big learning curve for us, just kind of trying stuff and seeing. Hopefully we hit it right, because you don't really have that much practice with them to go out there and tune stuff.
I think it's going to be awesome to see guys like you, Jordan Poirier, get it in here. And Adam, you don't know this, but I messaged Ryan Turner to ask him to come on with us here tonight. I hope Ryan's not mad, but I'm letting it out of the box. Hey, Clint, I apologize. We're actually getting a 410 at the shop right now. Can we take a rain check? So Ryan Turner, looks like he'll have a 410. Stiers will have a 410. Stuart Friesen, we're expecting to have a 410. Plus the other ESS or GLSS guys who may have one. I'm excited about it. What does it mean to have the Outlaws come back, Dylan?
It's awesome. Like growing up, that's like when they'd always come and I'd just be working on the cars. It's kind of always what I wanted to do. So now to have them finally come back after a few years, it's going to be awesome. I think you're going to be real shocked of how much has changed around Oswego too, with everything being paved and all the new buildings and everything. And yeah, I think they're going to be calling you guys wanting to come back there for sure.
That's the goal.
Man, we love the endorsement, Dylan. It's greatly appreciated. But you make a good point. A lot of things have changed at the facility. Who was it pointed out that the driveway used to be a dirt road, like Glenn's driveway where you go down into the pits? It wasn't that long ago that was just a dirt path, and now that's all blacktop.
Yeah, I think Clinton said that. Like, yeah, but last time they were there, like, yeah, nothing was paved. There wasn't really. There's still like kind of grass where everyone pitted and everything, and now there's new buildings. Everything's blacktop and different stands, and yeah, and it's not even think like all the lights and everything they weren't up. So I think they're gonna pull in there and get a big eye opener of how much has changed.
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. Obviously, spring dates aren't perfect, but hey, we got to hook them in. We'll show them how great it is, and I hope, like you said, Dylan, they're talking to us like we got to get back here. I'm hopeful the teams are going to see the efforts we put in and say, hey, we got to give these guys a July, August, a huge event, and then we'll really crank it up. Dylan, are you going to be going to Motorama this weekend? There's the championship night on Saturday. A lot of fans here and viewers of this show ask who's going to be there from Oswego, and what do you know?
Yeah, that's the plan. I think me and some buddies and dad and stuff, we're going to go down there Saturday and check it out, hang out for a bit. And yeah, whenever that's going on, it's always kind of makes you think, all right, race season is getting pretty close. Time to finish getting all of our stuff ready and get ready to go racing.
You got hero cards?
Not yet. I'm kind of slacking on that this year, hero cards and T-shirts, but trying to finish up and finalize what the car is going to look like, and then it's time to start working on stuff like that.
Well, I'll tell everybody to come down. We're giving away our weekend schedules, and D-Dubs is right there on the front of it. So he'll come down and autograph the schedule for you if you want to come by and see us in the afternoon on Saturday when he's around.
Perfect.
Dylan, you got a new look coming?
Yeah, that's the plan. Maybe a couple new sponsors. So yeah, just kind of trying to finish it up and get everything finalized. But yeah, with 47X will be looking a little bit different this year.
Oh man, that's awesome! Little teaser action going on.
It gets me wondering. So we getting away from the black, white, and red? Is that what we're hearing? That's all you need to tell us.
Yeah. There's still some black, white, and red, but a little bit different. Maybe more of something.
All right.
Sounds good, man. We look forward to seeing you Saturday afternoon.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man.
Dylan Westbrook, hottest racer, man. On dirt. Cleaned up at Oswego last year. Go ahead, Adam.
And let's say hi to Dale Shaw. We appreciate you keeping the chat rolling, throwing a little racer influence in there. And hello to Gary calling. Gary, I hope you're having of course, Gary just lost his father, Merv, one of the great gentlemen in the sport of racing. Funeral is tomorrow. And Gary, we're thinking of you, buddy.
Are you sure that's the Dale Shaw? Because there's another D Shaw that watches this show, you know.
Oh, I'll just assume it's Dale.
I thought it was all along too, till I saw the other D-Shaw on a Buxton post, and I was like, oh, maybe that's the D-Shaw that hangs around with us on Tuesdays. I just want to show, Spencer, can you show the schedule, the poster, and the stuff we're going to be handing out at our weekend booth at Motorama this weekend? This is the free souvenir poster. Come on down. Dylan Westbrook, if you cross paths him on Saturday, can sign his portion in the upper corner. This is a free schedule we're giving out. Just open it up. Go back to that for a second. First time we're seeing the caption, Dirt Racing Capital of the North. I like that. All right. What else we got? Free posters. We'll be handing out our schedule brochure as well. Make sure you come down and check that out. It's got all the info you need for everything and all our sponsors on it for the season. So make sure you come down and see us. We also have go-kart sponsors. Go-kart schedules up for grabs as well. So make sure you come down and see us. We'll be at the booth right in the middle of the racing hall. Can't miss us. We have a 10 by 30 foot booth. We will have Glenn Steyer's World of Outlaw 410 sprint car, brand new, just being built right from the factory, and it's gorgeous. The color blue is so sweet. So we'll have that on hand, and assortment of Osh Weekend personalities will be hanging around. I'll be there all weekend. Steve Lyon's going to hang out with me Friday. I know Mike Morris coming by. Adam's going to be there at some point on the weekend. When you coming by? Saturday?
That's my plan.
I think Ricky's coming Sunday. Robbie Longboat's going to be hanging around. See it as a different D-Shop.
All right, there you go.
One other thing I want to just close up.
Thanks for keeping the comments rolling anyhow, D-Shaw.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
One other thing I just want to mention, this is our Send It Sideways marketing proposal. This PDF is on the Oshweekend Speedway website. If you go there to check it out, it's got all the information. So if you're a race team racing at Oshweekend, you should be using this as part of your marketing proposal. It's got all information about the track. It's a great way to introduce everything we've got going on to a new sponsor. It's got all the track info, how you get involved, everything you might need there to help you out with your marketing program too. So that's right on the front page of OshWeekendSpeedway.com. So make sure you check that out if you're one of our race teams. It's another thing you can do to help you out. Why don't we talk about the Osh Weekend drivers meeting so we can get rid of that? Tariffs came in today. Scary shit for the racing world. I got to tell you, all of our parts come from America. All our tires come from America. But I have hope, Adam. I came on the show with hope tonight, and I can't believe because I was abysmal all day. And here's why I'm hopeful. I'm thinking our leaders on both sides have to realize this isn't good. I feel this is a power play, and I feel just as quickly as the Ukrainian mineral deal went away on Friday after their meeting, I have a feeling that's going to be signed in the next 48 hours, and they're going to right that ship. And I'm confident the same thing's going to happen with tariffs. It's bad for both sides. It's a power play, so let's just keep it positive that we will come out of this looking good here in the short term before things get too insane. So, but it does have a lot of people worried.
Oh, big time. Yeah, it was a heavy day today for sure. And I'm hopeful that cooler heads will prevail.
We don't want to get too political. I have been consumed on Twitter with politics in the past week. It's my new obsession, more than Pat McAfee, who we talked about today.
So, and we have to understand that what's happening in the United States, the people are not thinking about us in Canada. Like, it's not an us versus them thing. This is just a blip on the radar to most people. But up here, it's existential.
Yeah, I saw some good posts today. Just remember, as much as we want to talk politics, we are friends and family. Just because Adam doesn't believe the same as me, I'm not going to unfriend him. But sometimes it's best to keep our politics to ourselves, right? Let's go ahead.
I embrace disagreements. Let's have a disagreement. We were going to talk about it.
Hold on.
We're going to talk about it.
Let me get some business out of the way first, and then we'll fight.
Oh,
I want to send a big congratulations out to Jibs. Mark, Zuba, and the staff down there. 15 years celebrating getting kids off computers and out into the public. Congratulations, Mark. Great supporter of everything here in the Southern Ontario racing scene on pavement over the years. He was a racer himself. Now stepped up still, most notably behind Dave Bailey's Brewster Baker effort and a few other guys, the De Silvas. But congratulations, Mark. We appreciate your support. If you have a kid and are looking to get active, get out and check jibsactionsports.com. Even if you just like to browse a catalog, they've got some amazing stuff on there. Bikes, scooters, skateboards, everything you can imagine. Thanks, Mark. Congratulations. What do you want to fight about, Adam?
The qualifying format for 360 sprint cars.
Okay. And why I don't like it?
Yeah. So it's going to a speed-based format. So in theory, it is going to make it much, much harder, almost extremely improbable that a mid-range team could start on the front row, because you're only talking about heat race winners and fast timers out of the heats that are going to make up your first 3 rows. With the random draw program, if it's your night, it's your night, and you can wind up having a better starting spot. And that's the way it's been for many years at Ohsweken. I don't mind the fact that we're going to a performance-based system for the premier class, but I wouldn't do it for the other divisions.
Yeah, my concern is that this is great for the Dylan Westbrooks, for the Ryan Turners, for the Mike Bowmans, Corey Turners of the world, because they're going to start up front. They're going to be able to qualify and make their own bacon and start where they want, as opposed to a random system. But when you take a mid-level team, our teams that are typically, let's say, 17th to 24th, on the random draw, they could draw a front row starting spot in a heat race. Yeah, they know they're going to go backwards. We all can tell they're going to go backwards for the most case. But on that one night, when the track is right and they've got it together and the balls are tucked into the seat properly, they are in that deal and up front contending with these guys. They haven't had the race up there to contend with them, but they're rubbing elbows with them, and they're in the mix. They may get relegated to the back to be not making the redraw and starting at the back because they have negative passing points, or they're going the wrong way. The concern I have now is when you come out of this with straight out of time trials or timed hot laps to line up your heat, they're typically going to be at the back of the heats. Unless they have a rock star of a night, they're going to stay at the back of the heats. They're going to start at the back of the feature. They're kind of relegated there. And, we talked about this. This is top-level Predator sprint cars. The toughest thing we got here on dirt in Canada is a 360 sprint car. It should be speed-based. But as the manager of the Speedway, it's my job to make sure we're taking care of the 17th to 24th drivers. Because, as I've liked to say in the past 6 months, when we talk about items like this, the top 12 guys are coming every week no matter what. But we don't have a show unless we continue to keep the 13 to 24th place guys coming as well. So that's my concern, is how long does a mid-level guy who used to have fun because maybe quarter of the time he could start near the front of the row, at least in the heat, he's feeling like he's up there. Now, you're get to the back all the time, and how often does, how long does it take before he says, hey, man, I'm spending a fortune, and I'm stuck at the back all the time. And just look at the voting list. A lot of the mid-level teams voted to stick on the random system. And all the top-level guys, not all of them, but...
Yeah, but not all of them. There was some interesting mix there.
Yep. And that's the other thing. Hey, it was deadlocked right to the end. And, I remember when the teams voted during the pandemic, they didn't feel they wanted to go back to Buxton. And remember that night we had them both. It was Knights of Thunder and the Action Sprint Tour at Maryville. We were in the middle of COVID. And I came back after the drivers' meeting up to the tower, and I think I looked white as a ghost. And you said, what happened? And I said, 51 out of 52 teams told me they didn't want to go to Buxton next week. And you said, well, at least it's not 50-50, which would have been a way bigger problem. But we're this week with our vote. It was like 10-10 with 22 drivers voting right till the last 2 guys. So,
but the good news here is there really was no none of those votes cause safety concerns or really unfair advantages. They were all things that you could go either way. No matter which way the vote went, we're still going to put on a good show on Friday nights, and drivers can come out and have a good time.
I still have a lot of old-time racers saying, handicap the sprint cars. But the other thing you got to remember is sprint cars, unlike a division like, let's say, Merrittville, which has the same 24 guys coming back, by the nature of sprint cars being open and so similar across North America, we could have a Jordan Poirier choose to tow up 8 hours to race for a night at Oswegan if the yes is off. We could have a Dustin Daggett tow 4 hours from the east to come to Oswegan from Michigan because GLSS has a night off. So you don't want to relegate those guys to the back because then you whittle that pool down more and more with nobody ever joining it to come in. So I think it's an interesting discussion. It's pretty rare that we let the teams vote on some things. Like the other thing the teams wanted was a committee to decide who could keep their draw spots in crates. We just couldn't go that way. It was just, so we set down some black and white rules, 3 to the back, first to race to the back guaranteed, and that's where we're at. Let's have some fun, Adam. We got our Burger Barn videos of the week coming up, and I have some questions for you, and I don't know. So I sent a bunch into Spencer. I'm not sure how many he's able to download. Sometimes if they're on Facebook, he doesn't have access to them because he's not friends with the people we are or not part of the group, so he may not be able to pull them all down. But let's see what we got. I do have some questions. We got 7. Can we start with the ones that look like oversized slot cars? So this is something I learned. I don't know if you've ever seen this, Adam. So they're called remote control cars. Can you show the other video of them first, Spencer, if you've got it? Okay, so these are cars, Adam. Okay? But look at the white lane has a ramp that jumps across the other lanes, and cars are getting eliminated. And I keep wondering, how are they populating cars into the white lane if white lane jumps on? I watched this video 50 times over the weekend. So, have you ever seen these before?
No.
So these are Tamiya. If the model company makes them, they're remote control cars, and I think they're under the remote control, but you're not really controlling them. I think you're just buying them. That's like a kit car, almost like a. Now here's the answer to my thing: how the white lane gets populated. So they're jumping lanes, and the last car still on the track at the end of it is the winner. But I couldn't figure out how they kept populating the white lane, but cars in the other part of the track are jumping into it. This is all the rage in Asia right now. It is everywhere on my feed.
I surf better stuff than you.
Dude, this is toys racing stuff that we're coming across. I know we don't want to see what you surf, buddy. We couldn't.
I think you
got
might.
the hot dog flavored chips picture, Spencer. It's not all racing. Hot dogs are a theme here on the G-Force Crew. Play the next one. Okay, watch this. This is shout out to all corner marshals for one. This is the Brands Hatch race in 1972. Okay, just watch the chaos and how many deaths almost happened in this 2-minute clip, Adam. So they just pulled the driver out. Now they're making a smoke screen. Remember, this before radios, before caution lights. All you have is those guys waving flags as these Formula 1 cars are whipping around here. It gets wilder. Just wait, it's going to get even crazy. So now we got smoke with the car in the middle of the track. Now everybody starts to run back out on the track when the safety crew rolls up. Without any blockers, there's nothing. It's just a Jeep rolls up on the scene and everybody runs out. Here it comes down the hill now. So they're racing around a clean-up Jeep. Guys just hanging out the back. Then everybody runs out. Now remember, we're still under a hot track here except for that corner marshal. One guy runs up the track now. He's in front of the corner marshal in the middle of the track trying to wave them down. Spraying fluid on the cars as they're rolling by. It's just mass chaos.
Oh my goodness. We should get Kevin Vesta on the show.
They're still speeding here. Wait, there's more. Oh, maybe that's the end of it, but no, there's not. But that's just craziness, right? Like Wild West back then. Insane. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, like you're absolutely right. It's crazy where this sport. We're so far from where this sport was, right? Who was it that said bullfighters and race car drivers were the real warriors, whatever the expression was, because you risked life and limb every time you got in a car. While that's still true, it's not to the extent of that it was then.
I got to send a shout out to my dad, Gary, recovering, had some surgery today. So, Dad, hopefully you're watching, not sleeping. Man, he told me they used to cut metal buckets in half, and that was like their racing seat in '69. Like, they had nothing back then. It was crazy. All right, what else we got, Spencer?
There's the first hit. Yeah, he didn't love that, and so Joseph said, well, if you
A
want to
little
play,
bit of demo
let's
derby.
play. And then I'll give them this, right? They both were getting out of their cars ready to fight. I'd much rather two guys get out of their cars and fight than do that nonsense. But
with their weapon race cars.
Right, yeah. Fighting with the race car is dangerous. Fighting with your hands, well...
That's about it. But just to see them back up and take runs at each other, you don't have to see that in the open wheel modifieds. What else, Spence? Okay, is this a good idea? So he's... I assume they're shipping this car overseas in a shipping container. So he straps it down like he normally would, but then he nails a 2x4 under tension. Show it again, Spencer. And I'm thinking, is this a legit technique? He didn't shoot his toe off, for one. I assume it shortens up the strap to keep it from... I've never seen it before. I don't think it would pass DMV.
It'll keep the car from bouncing.
Yeah, I've never seen that before. You know? Hey, let me get up the nail gun so we can go home.
Yeah, that was weird.
Keep it coming, Spence. Oh, this just looking like a cool go-kart track. Big, wide, open. Like, this looks like a place we could have some fun drafting at.
Yep. I love this type racing.
Just love the speed of those things. One more to come. Oh, watch this. This guy picks up the tire at him and throws it at everybody behind him. Right there, he's got it in his hand.
He didn't throw it, he just released it.
Yeah, but have you ever seen he picked it up through the corner, held it for a couple seconds, and then dropped it?
Yeah, but it's not like he reached out and picked it up. It would have flown up into him. And he got rid of it. Man, I could watch this view all night.
Yeah, good question. Like, did he just pick it up? I mean, hey, everybody's done that dirty stuff in go-karts when you're out with your buddies messing around. I mean, heck, the night I saw you with all my buddies at Hamilton, India a couple years ago, we're under a red. Well, pull over and you flick off the off switch as soon as they start the green and you drive away and he's sitting there. Or you'll pull off the spark plug on your buddy. It was great. Hey, we made it through another hour.
To answer John Tyner, John, I don't host a show anymore on mental health. I still battle mental health, and I'm still here to talk about it. If anybody wants to chat, I'm always happy to do that. These are tough times we live in right now. But no, I've slowed down. It just became too much. Something had to give.
Spencer, do you have that last blue chart I sent? So this is the last one, Adam. This is the last one we're trying to figure out. And this is, no, okay, I didn't send it to you. Sorry, Spence. Am I wrong? I sent you that one. The last one we're waiting for, Adam, is, you can take that down, Spence, is whether the driver from last week who won would get the last spot in the redraw. Now, Fran knows this. Bransville does it. We did it at Humberstone for a while for the crate sprints. That is deadlocked at 8-8 right now. So that could be a wild shakeup where your winner from this week could have to start last in the redraw if they qualify for it. So we'll see how that one goes. We'll get that out there shortly, but I think that could change things quite a bit. Spencer, you have the hot dog pick or not? You don't have to. I found some chips. There you go. How about these chips for the G-Force trailer this summer? Burnt hot dog flavored Lay's. Yeah, why's it got to be burnt? They got weenie lube on the bag, though, Spencer.
I kind of like it. Like it's kind of edgy that way.
If we had a band, that's what we'd be named. Burnt Weenies. Hey, you gotta have some fun. Thanks, Spencer. What do you think Spencer eats after every show? Burnt weenies.
I would imagine.
He said they're not burnt, they're just hours old. That's even worse.
Thank you for the kind words to the people who came over and chatted with me on Sunday at the rules meetings. We are blessed to be here each and every week. And we are blessed to have you here watching with us each and every week. We appreciate every last one of you.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us. We'll see you guys next Tuesday.